Today I'm going to share 3 key actions I took to train my brain to like doing hard things. I have seen many videos talking about this topic, about tricking your brain to doing hard things, by Thomas Frank, The Improvement Pill, Better Ideas. Many YouTube channels have tackled this topic. However, I do not think tricking your brain is so easy. I think our brains are much more complex than that, and that is the reason why I titled this video, How I Trained My Brain to Like Doing Hard Things. Not tricking, train. These are actual things that have worked in my life to embrace the challenge, to embrace the obstacles, and to love the process of improvement and of failing and getting better and doing the really hard things that are necessary to do to improve ourselves in all manner of ways. Let me give you a bit of a backstory. You see, when I was a kid, I was incredibly competitive at absolutely everything. It doesn't matter if it was cards, soccer, any type of sport. Even my dad and my uncle, we used to get together and try and see who would pee the farthest, like down a hill. It was absolutely insane. Everything was a competition. However, my crippling fear of failure prevented me from engaging in actual competitive and healthy pursuits. So I shied away from a lot of sports competitions, I shied away from a lot of extracurricular competitions, and I shied away from many activities that were just incredibly hard, and I didn't have that will, that drive, that motivation to push me through the hard phase and then into that wonderful phase when you start mastering an activity, be it an instrument, a sport, a craft. So I was very afraid of doing the hard things because my ego was fragile. Most of our egos are fragile, and when we engage in these very hard things, we're humiliated, we're embarrassed. We play the part of the fool before we become wise. That is one of the new themes in Jordan Peterson's 12 More Rules for Life Beyond Order, that you need to play that part of a fool. You need to become embarrassed, you need to be vulnerable to later become the wise person who has mastered that craft and who is moving forward in the world. And as I have evolved, as years has gone by, I have recognized the necessity of being that fool, the necessity of engaging in these hard things and training your brain to actually love that process. It is the only way forward and the only way that builds true character and aligns your mind, your body, and your spirit. So let's get into it. But before we do it, if it's your first time here, my name is Diego. This is Apex of Man. I'm an undergraduate student studying business and computer science at Boston University. If you're obsessed with productivity and self-development, be sure to smash that subscribe button to not miss a single video. New videos out every single week. Let's go. So the first really important thing I did to train my brain to like doing hard things was going to the gym and start working on progressive overload. Progressive overload is essentially the concept that you need to keep increasing your weights every time you get comfortable at the gym. If you get out of a workout and you feel too comfortable and you don't feel like you died in there and you don't feel your sore muscles, then you're doing something wrong. So each week, if you start feeling comfortable, you need to increase it by 5 pounds. 2.5 kilograms, whatever it is, and keep increasing and building that strength, that endurance, and that muscle. So when I started going to the gym around 4 years ago, this really sparked my brain into loving these really hard things, because you would get into the gym, it would suck, it would feel terrible, you would go early in the morning or late in the afternoon where you were really tired, and you continue going because you could visibly see your progress, you could track your progress, and you knew that if next week I could go a little bit further, if next week I could lift a little more weight, I would be on the right path and I'd be building muscle, I'd be building my physique, and not only that, but building my mental fortitude. And that kept me going and triggered that spark of loving to do hard things. And it's not easy to get into the gym at the beginning, because I remember my first time in the gym, seeing these like 250-pound gorillas who were just lifting weights like crazy cavemen. And then you went in there, you looked like a little stick, like a couple chopsticks as arms and as legs as well, and you just go in and you'd be so intimidated by the atmosphere and everything, and it was so hard to get in there. But the thing is, everybody started where you are starting. Everybody had to start at the beginning, and that's the hardest phase of everything. And people in the gym and everywhere else, first of all, they don't really care that much to be looking at you or worrying about what the hell you're doing with the weights. And second of all, people really respect the hell out of people who are starting out and taking the initial steps towards that path and doing those incredibly hard things and building mastery at the gym, for example, at a sport, at playing an instrument. So when you're at the gym, be sure to push yourself to the very edge of your capacity. If your leg days are on Wednesday and you get out of the gym and you feel like your legs are fine and it doesn't hurt for the next 2 days like hell and you can't even sit down, then you're doing something wrong. You need to be working on progressive overload, and this will train your brain to do such hard things. We are very physical animals. From the beginning of history, we've been doing physical things and overexerting ourselves physically, moving long distances, hunting, doing very intense, hard manual labor. And now when our lives are so sedentary, we need to get this back to train your brain and your mind, because physical health is the same as mental health in my book. And you need to train both things as you continually move forward. And that way you'll be completely aligned as a person, and your brain will actually shift. Your brain will create new neural pathways that will start loving doing those really, really hard things, and you'll really find reward and fulfillment in doing those things. And I do recommend the gym because it's a very visual and very trackable activity. You can always go and know exactly what weights and exactly what reps and sets you're doing, so your progress is very easy to calculate. However, this can apply to any other creative endeavor, as I mentioned. And another story comes to mind in terms of loving to doing these hard things within the sports sphere. I started skiing when I was very, very young, and then I transitioned to snowboard when I was around 6 or 7 years old. And I remember in the beginning when I was learning snowboarding that your main focus is not to fall down, to try and get through the day without falling. And that was holding me back. That was preventing me from doing the hard things, because you know you weren't pushing yourself to the limit if you're not falling over. So I remember once when I was stuck in the middle of an absolute crazy snowstorm, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was crazy, and my instructor was a little further down the slope. And I remember going down, and the visibility was absolutely atrocious. I couldn't see anything. And then I smacked into a block of ice and just flew out and crashed in the middle of the slope. And it was such a bad experience. I really hurt my shoulder. I was crying. I don't know, I was maybe 9 years old. I was crying, and I didn't want to get up, and it was cold, and the bitter cold was just absolutely horrendous. It got to your bones. So I grabbed my helmet, I slammed it on the ground, and I started screaming and just doing the crazy things that you do when you're a kid and not really wanting to face those obstacles. And I remember my instructor actually taking a snowboard off, coming up the slope, walking up the slope, and telling me, "Look, Diego, I know it's hard, I know we can't see anything, but the only thing you need to keep in your mind is that you either board hard or you go home. That's it." And from then on forward, that has really stayed with me. And he actually gifted me a t-shirt that said board hard or go home. And that has been ingrained in my mind since then. And now when I go skiing and I see these amateurs and the people who are starting out and starting in the journey of learning that craft and learning that sport, everybody is so obsessed with not falling over that they forget to learn, and they forget to push themselves to the limit to actually improve skiing or snowboarding. So it's every time someone tells me, "Yeah, so my second day and I didn't fall over," I tell them, if you're not falling over, you're not trying hard enough. And I truly believe that is the case in every single sphere of life. The second thing that really helped train my brain to like doing hard things is writing a list of things that suck and you hate doing and ticking them off progressively. This is a lesson I learned from David Goggins. David Goggins goes out on these 240, 300-mile runs, these mother of all runs across the deserts without water, and he does challenges of running 4 miles every 4 hours during 48 hours. This guy is an absolute madman, and I'm not suggesting you become like him, even though that'd be pretty freaking cool. But when he started his self-development journey and changing as a person, he started doing the things that sucked. One of his most recognizable quotes says, "If it doesn't suck, I'm not doing it." So it's an interesting pathway towards self-development, because you start doing the things that you fear, you start doing the things that suck, you start doing the things that you hate, and then you'll start building that mental fortitude and that mental capacity to start loving those really hard things. And do it as a game, play it as a game, gamify the experience. Because if you write a list down and you can check out and give those little beautiful ticks in terms of a to-do list and what you're doing, you see, for example, today I got in a cold shower, today I got in a run at 5 a.m. I hate running, but you got in the run. Today I talked to this person at work, or talked to this person academically, or reached out to this person on LinkedIn, and I was very afraid, but I did it, and it sucked, but now it feels good. Now I'm moving forward. So make sure you sit down and update this list every 3 months or every 2 months, whatever it is. Write down the things that suck and keep doing them every day. Sit down, because you know, intuitively, you know that today you need to do something that sucks and you don't want to do it and you want to postpone it till tomorrow. We all do this almost on a routine basis. But if you start doing those things that suck, or that you think suck, you start building that mental capacity to get comfortable with the suck. Get comfortable with the fact that things are not easy. Get comfortable with the fact that hard things are the things that are going to help you grow and help you move forward. And when you have this entire list of things that suck and things you've done, you can keep a track record of that. And then when it gets the time to write that biology essay or do that computer science homework, you sit down, you look at the list, and you're like, damn, I've done so many hard things. What the hell is a 2-page essay for me today? It's absolutely nothing, no factor. So write a list down of things that suck and tick them off progressively. And number 3 is definitely develop the ability to do deep work. Deep work is a concept developed by Cal Newport, a computer science professor at the University of Georgetown, and he is the author of a book by the same name, Deep Work. And I have mentioned this in various other videos because I truly believe this is a revolutionary concept. He posits that in today's hyper specialized economy, your ability to hyper focus and do deep work is one of the most valuable commodities, because there are so many distractions around us and so many things that are trying to pull away from our attention of actually doing the things that we need to do, that if you are one of those people who can hyper focus, who can zone out of the world and focus on one single thing and do it effectively and at the top of your ability, you will be absolutely unstoppable. And one of the more nuanced arguments is that you need to develop that ability to do hard things, to be comfortable with the hard things. You need to sit down, eliminate distractions, and enjoy that process, that moment where you were just sitting, writing an essay or cracking out a project or setting up your business and doing all the mundane tasks. You need to get really, really comfortable with that. And in his book, Cal Newport suggested people do a 30-day digital detox challenge. We've spoken about this, where you eliminate most digital distractions from your life and you start enjoying the smaller moments of peace, the smaller moments of quiet, of silence, when you just need to sit down and write those 3,000 words. That is what you're focused. That is what your mind starts loving. Your mind starts enjoying those hard things once you eliminate the distractions around you and once you start developing that ability to do deep work. So I developed this ability by truly not being in contact with social media. For example, I never had Facebook, I rarely used Instagram, Snapchat was very on and off, I use WhatsApp to contact friends, and I've been trying to wean off my addiction from YouTube. But it's absolutely necessary because I felt it in my own life. When you start eliminating these digital distractions, these other distractions for that matter, you stop procrastinating and you start enjoying the harder things because you see them as less of a challenge. You see them as less boring because you are already used to being in that state of mind. You're already used to being hyper-focused and you're already used to the rewarding and fulfilling sensation that you get after you complete something that is really hard. So in the moment when you get that procrastination bug, that little thought that tells you, okay, let me just check Instagram for a moment. I'm sure there's people that need me right there. Let me check my messages for a moment. People are relying on me to answer these messages. Let me check my email just in case because there's probably something important there. Reject that feeling, fight that urge. And when you fight that urge, you will recognize that that is the hard thing. You're doing the hard thing and you will feel fantastic because you can be solely focused on one single thing and crack those out and crush college, crush your job, crush your relationships, crush absolutely everything in your life by hyper focusing on one single thing. So those were the 3 tips that I wanted to give you on how I trained my brain to like doing hard things and how you can train your brain to like doing hard things and develop that love for the process, develop that love for the challenge, for the obstacle, and building that mentality that is the only way forward, because you don't grow doing easy things. You don't grow doing the super fun things. You grow doing the hard, gritty, nasty things that suck every single day, repeatedly, on a regular basis, and that is how you become the person that you want to be, the student that you want to be, the professional that you want to be, the father that you want to be, the mother that you want to be. That is how you change. And if you're still hanging around here, I really appreciate your support. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you don't miss a single video. Leave a comment, leave a like. I would love to know about your experience in terms of obstacles and doing the hard things, and what are the hardest things for you to do in your life. Leave that comment down below. I'd love to hear those and respond to those. And if you're interested in more content like this, be sure to check this video on how to quickly get out of a rut, an absolutely fantastic video, and this other one on how I got a 4.0 GPA at Boston University during quarantine, doing those hard things. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next video.